Yo, how's everyone doing today? Hope you guys doing well. Taking a look at NASDAQ as per usual. I sent out kind of a rough daily bias from this morning, and how that plays into my weekly outlook from Sunday. If you've not watched that video, I'll briefly explain kind of what I was looking for. But on the higher time frame, as we approach that 50% mark from the dealing range we're resting within, we're expecting a lot of consolidation. So unless the lower time frame was going to show me something that we're likely to leave or give a signature of expansion, then I would not be trading today. In this case, we had a sweep on the current daily sell side with SMT at the lows, and we've got a target in the new week opening gap and the current daily high after we just reacted off the London low. So coming into this macro, I'm looking for higher prices as long as we can see this continued figure out to be holding. We already took out a short-term target in premium and filled this gap, both of which are premium PD arrays for short-term partial opportunities. I'm not expecting super clean price action today, so both of those are reasonable partials or potentially full pulls for short-term trades. You know, going along from the change in state delivery up to here and up to here, that would be a short-term scalp. And that's really all you're looking for on this kind of day. If it decides to expand all the way up and offer the buy side and offer the -2, -2.5 within this new week opening gap and eventually the 23,495, that's great. But this is setting up to be kind of a seek and destroy day from at least the pre-market. What we're seeing right now at the 9:30 open looks pretty decent, to be honest. But don't be fooled by obviously just a little bit of gaps holding in this kind of precision we're seeing now. It can easily switch back up into a consolidation range and be very hard to trade. So my suggestion would be take partials quickly. Don't get greedy. I'm not really shooting for this -2, -2.5. If it can get to the new week opening gap, that's really all I want. The ELRL up here at 23,495 is kind of a harder target. So I want to see how this fair value gap and there's a 3-minute order block there. I want that to hold. I'm looking at, yeah, I mean, I'll screenshot this really quickly, put it into predictions chat. Now I can come down all the way back down and touch that order block. It's going to be precise. Got a short-term dealing range here. It's already in discount. But yeah, I mean, like on this kind of day, you know, if you can take the 930, run into the fair value gap down to the low, that's a good scalp. Or if you want to take the change of state delivery up to the premium PD arrays, I mean, I think it was pretty easy to see this low resistance was going to be swept at some point. So either right on the manipulation or on the expansion up. That's kind of all the setups you're looking for, you know. Yeah, it's 10 a.m. news today. Not a crazy one, so not super worried. But I want to see if we can get some secondary displacement here on the 15-second chart. We can fill this gap, respect it, and then shoot back up a little bit more. Be great. So it drops into it. We saw MNQ. Dropped into it there. Yes, looking kind of nasty on the 1 minute here. Not as clean. Looks like a slow grind up, but does look slightly more bullish than bearish. 5 minute also kind of nasty. So this should be, at least for those who are new, or even if you're seasoned, this should be something you should be studying for low probability price action setting up. Like, what do you like to see in the morning that's going to probably produce these kind of results? This is kind of textbook, right? Sitting around 50% of the dealing range, buy side and sell side swept continuously coming into the 9:30 open, 10 a.m. news. There's no high impact news that we're dealing with coming into the day, meaning there was no 8:30 news yesterday or today that's going to start this weekly move. So these kind of conditions are exactly what you see that produce low probability price action. I'm not saying it's going to be swing to Z. Right now it's setting up to be a New York Open reversal profile. What we do after 10 o'clock is going to be the most important thing. Okay, if we're able to expand after 10 o'clock, which it looks like it wants to do it, we're on the 15-second chart. We got that fair value gap here. Didn't even trade into it, but you're holding the order block here, trading back up. This is secondary displacement right here. If you look at this fractal market maker buy model here, this fair value gap is being placed above 50% of this implied dealing range here. Right there, you can see the secondary displacement. That, to me, confirms that this short-term high is going to be the target for now. And obviously the buy side we have resting at the current daily high. But it does need to get through this premium PD array first. What upgrade? Yeah, it's coming back down into this fair value gap. It's allowed to come back and touch the order block. We did miss it here. You. So now we got SMT at the highs right now. Up there. And SMT at the lows. So be very careful. Still within this 50% range. All right, sitting right in the middle between new week opening gap and new week opening gap, and just right in the middle of that. On the weekly outlook, I had mentioned if we had traded above this 4-hour fair value gap here, a little bit more hesitant coming to the weekly profile and kind of what we're going to see the rest of the week. And that remains my bias for today and for the rest of the week. Okay, it's a lot harder to see bearish price action, at least. I mean, it can come back into premium, into an IRL. If it really wants to, it can get up into here, but it shouldn't really have to get all the way up into this if it wants to come back down and dig into the monthly fair value gap we have lining up for August. So it's not going to be this clean expansion week. Yeah, YM hourly close is heavy. Yeah, I'm with you there, Creed. I'm looking for bullish numbers on 10 a.m. At least up to that short-term buy side I've marked out. Complete the market maker buy model, then I don't really care what it does. Yep, 15-minute and the 1-minute. 15-second and 1-minute are both consolidating. You can see the candle bodies here just visually on the 1-minute, holding and respecting 50% of that bisi, and then closing above and actually in 100% of that premium fair value gap we have there marked out in red. So that alone is tipping its hand to you. Now it's a little bit harder to trust that given what ES and YM are doing. It's kind of decoupled. So the 10 AM news should kind of bring us back in line with all three. But if you're looking at this as manipulation, then the next news driver is preferably expansion. Got about 30 seconds here. Yeah, targets, like I said in predictions chat, is short-term buy side is kind of that low-hanging fruit, other than these two PD arrays they've been marked out, then the new week opening gap, and then the ELRL up at 23,495. Here's your news. Come back down, dropping into the 1 minute order block there. Somehow, am I tweaking? What in the heck? Did I just get slipped negatively? How is that even? What? Anyone else just see that? I got stopped, but then I got slipped inversely. How is that even possible? And all my years, I'm like an old head. I have never seen. I guess I'll take it. It's fine. That's a bug, but I guess. I had my stop loss. I gotten in a trade on this 15-second SysD in here, so I was long right in here, 940-ish. The target was that short-term buy side. I didn't take a partial in here. Maybe a little greedy, but my stop loss was trailed at this 945 low on the 15-second chart, and it stopped me out, but gave me profit. I'll take it, I guess, but I don't really know how that works. I somehow got filled here. I'll take a screenshot of the fills. This is my fills here. I don't know if you can see it. 23,358, 23,360, 23,388, and then I got filled out at 23,397, which is up here. Right? Yeah. 23,397. I have no idea how that works. That is something new to me. If anyone knows the explanation for that, I've never seen that before. And I don't even think on a 1 second chart did it even get up there. Let me check it MNQ if it got up there, because I'm seeing a whole volume bounce. Yeah, it never got up there. 397 is up here. That is weird. They're probably gonna have to come out and say something, because that's not supposed to be happening. And I'd much rather take my loss, but that is weird, man. Okay then. I got the market maker fill. I guess so. I'm not gonna complain. You didn't see anything. But yeah, that's not good. If there's that much, it's almost like a forex market. Why was the spread like that big on the open? Who knows, man. Anyways, I was saying, back to, I don't know what just happened, but back to, wait, let me check all of my accounts. Yeah, they're all up. Whoa. Wow. Okay. Well, um, yeah, what I was saying was 10 a.m. news is going to be indicative of the rest of the session. I don't really want to be trading if it did not expand after this. And it's setting up to be a seek and destroy swing to Z type profile. Now, downside targets, which is what I was looking for going into the session. We've got, if it wants to load here, we got the PM session low from a previous day down here. I mean, you have some original consolidation, but it's setting up to be a kind of a choppy day. So I'll give it to the end of the macro time if we don't get outside of this range. Slander, you take that trade? Did you get slipped too? Executions, let's see. Oh yeah, you got you got slipped negatively. Oh no, you didn't get slipped. Oh, you did. Wait, did you? What was your stop at? Well, let me see. 42. Oh no, you didn't get slipped. Yeah, you're fine. What is that? 23, 341. Your fill was at 23, 342. Yeah, you're fine. By like a point, I guess. That was like a point. Bro, I got slipped negatively. I don't even know how that happens. So I'm watching this first presentation for value gap here. Once we use this inversion right now, we got this immediate rebalance up to that candle open. Oh yeah, you got slipped as well. Pretty badly. It was like a 2R slip. Yeah, part of the job, I guess. I mean, not really, but that's supposed to be the benefit of futures markets. When you got slipped positively, did they didn't reach out to you, right? Topsa didn't reach out to you. I mean, normally you can get there's a regular slip with positively, which is if you take profit and then goes past it, right? But then sometimes won't even fill your level if that level didn't print. And you can see right now this yellow box that I've delineated right here is the new day opening gap. You can delineate the midnight opening price as well, and you're gonna get the same kind of, oh, what the heck. Trying to fix my indicator here. Give me a sec. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, midnight opening price right here. So we're constantly consolidating around the open. All right, both the midnight opening price, the new day opening gap, and the 9:30 open here. The 5-minute, also sistis back and forth. Yeah, so right now I'm looking for a range expansion. If we are unable to get below the 931 open, or up here at really the current daily high, I'm not interested in it. Now we do have since we do have 10 a.m. news, there's a potential silver bullet that's going to be decently clear to see. So I mean, your last manipulation leg, if you're bullish, would be over here. All right, and that puts you up in here. So if we're able to somehow get all the way back up here, have a mitigation block, retracement, and then get back into a fair value gap during either mid silver bullet or at the last ditch, then that would be to the upside. And on the downside, you've got last manipulation swing is here. That points you a little bit further down. So either way, I wouldn't want to be trading at this point within the consolidation bounds. Okay, we're, like I said, on the higher time frame, we're still stuck within 50% of that. And if you see in the morning coming into it, you know, not even looking at minute open, but if you want to mark it out, you can. This consecutive sweeps on both sides, up, back internal, back up, back down to external, back up to external, back down to external, back up to internal, seek and destroy. So if you're new, or even if you're studying what low probability conditions are coming into the session, that's something that you should be watching for. And then you should have conditions to trade. Okay, so at that point, either completely sit out, and that's what it is, or you have certain conditions. Okay, on the daily bias, what I had said was right in here. Or I have specific conditions I'm looking for. So this is the exact area in the higher time frame mentioned on the weekly outlook from Sunday that would favor avoiding or waiting until we leave this area. So on a higher time frame, we're already stuck in that consolidation. It's going to be scalpy. So going to let the open play out and see if there's any movement going into the opening range, potentially trade the macro silver bullet if the opportunity is clear. So in here, sweep on the London low, displacement up, fair value gap being left open, trades into the change in state delivery and holds it with the candle bodies, and then has secondary displacement after the fact. To me, pretty decent opportunity, at least to look for this short-term buy side and into this short-term pool here and this short-term pool here, or fair value gap, I mean. But I normally am just going to have a very soft bias coming to the session. If it gives me a scalp, I can take a scalp at 9:30 or 9:50. In this case, since we have 10 a.m. news, then silver bullet as well. But we need to be seeing any sort of displacement after the fact. So in this case, we have the high forming over here at 814. For it not to be swing to Z, we need to see the low or the high really form after 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. right here. That's what I was saying. If we can expand away, then we'll get a nice New York open reversal profile. We do have SMT at the highs with YM up there on an external range of liquidity with the London high. Now, I would have loved if you can form a fair value gap right on this order block. This next candle should take out that sell side. So you got a bearish order block here. I mean, the fair value gaps inside the OB. Back up into the order block. There you go. On 15 seconds, a little bit better. Fair value gap right on the order block open. That's a mitigation plus fair value gap. Watching this intermediate term high. Looks like it wants to fill the gap though. The change in state delivery would be below the 1013 candle, 1013.45. So as soon as it takes out this, we should enter into a short-term stall program, take out that swing low and flush below it. So there's your swing low taken. You want to take out that swing low and preferably close these 5 points below the swing low, and that'd be the range expansion. I also like if it stays within this wick, at least until it tags out the sell side. Yeah, it's already. I mean, it's still showing at least on the 1 minute and on the 5 minute. It wants to consolidate. It's not even. It's getting this close to the sell side, going back within the range multiple times. Just even that signature alone is showing you its unwillingness to move. Antibodies are still holding the gap in the order block, but yeah, you don't really have targets. I mean, you got this one here. I mean, most of it's within this balanced price range, so I mean, you could use this as a target if you wanted to. It's kind of a weaker one. I like the sell side down at London low, though. Sorry, at PM session low. There's your break of the low. So now you have a New York Open reversal profile. Bearish. All right, high being formed here at 8:14, low being formed post 10 a.m. So preferably looking for some continuation to the PM session low. And if it offers me something, then I may take it on demo. Scalp it down there. Almost a perfect immediate rebalance. Now, at this point, you'd love to see if first presentation gap can be traded below. It should not really even come up into this, but at an absolute maximum, it has to stay below consequent encroachment. We already balanced this gap out. If you look in here, you already got, first of all, it's already placed as a balanced price range within this gap, right? So if anything, just the upper portion of this was inefficient. Comes back down, fills it with both buying and selling. You don't see a lot of fair value gaps or volume imbalances within it. If there was any, it's automatically traded through. So this printing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, then it leaves, forms a new fair value gap, and an order block respects that. So at this point, if you'd formed a gap, if you'd closed below that sell side, like I had said, and formed another fair value gap here, we would not really see this FPFEG traded back into. Now we still have to treat, because of its, since it is low probability, every single discount PD array and premium PD array, you have to expect there to be some retracement. You don't normally see it where on a high probability day, some of them will offer that retracement. Normally at higher time frame basis, it will. But then the lower time frame ones are just traded through and doesn't really offer much more than a candle or two of retracement. In this case, every single discount PD array needs to be expected to have some sort of a premium retracement. So your dealing range would be here to here, preferably, right? Trading back into premium perfectly there, and you just see it leave this kind of dealing range. Sometimes it'll resort back to a higher time frame dealing range. So sometimes up to here, right? Or even up all the way to the highest high. And that's where you see it run out this sell side, come all the way back up, take the internal high up in premium. And at that point, on a high probability day, or someone who's looking at that normally will say, oh, at this point, my shorts are invalidated, or you get stopped out. But this is where it'll come back up, do a deep retracement, and then flush back down, going to last ditch macro, take out the low, and you're left there wondering if there was something you missed, or if that was just you got stopped out and it was unlucky. But that's why low probability days are harder to trade, because you see stuff like this where it'll have a deep retracement, sometimes within the time range you're looking for, sometimes without it. And then a lot of those discount and premium PD arrays will cause these heavy retracements, or retracements that you're not expecting to actually happen, and then you get caught getting stopped out, or confused about the market. So in here, we just have that premium retracement back into the gap. It's taking out that swing low. You'd like it to displace now and take the 15-minute fair value gap. But technically, even this counts as a discount PD array, if you really want to look at it. All right, swing low. But at this point, it's respecting the bearish order block, which I think it's using this as a propulsion block. Now it's flushing back down. I'm waiting for that gap to form, but it may not give it to me. I may have missed the opportunity in this fair value gap here at 1016, which is fine. But you also got to think, just on a higher time frame, what is it even doing? All right, we're stuck within that range. It may look like it's coming back down and taking out that PM session low, which it should. But in this case, actually, it could actually come back all the way down and fill this. Because we just took out, there's no 15-minute gap, right? Yeah. So 4-hour gap. Yeah, I think both of those are likely targets then. Screenshot this, put it in predictions. Should have stuck with my original bias. And reason for this IRL being the target is because we just had a run on stops here. So either you could look at this as a 1-hour run on stops back to internal range and discount. Actually, even further down in. Or if you want to look at it from a 4-hour perspective, you got a gap in here in premium, 1 hour for value gap, or sorry, 1 hour sell side pool. Either way works. But typically what you see is any sort of manipulation target. If you're looking at an open, low, high, close on any time frame in any range, say this is the daily range, your manipulation target and your distribution target are going to be one time frame apart. Meaning, if you look at price action, you see in IRL up here on the 1 hour chart. That's a terrible 1 hour. But if this is your 1 hour chart, let's call it 60. Then your distribution target, or your draw on liquidity, that's in line with your bias needs to be one time frame lesser than your manipulation target. So this should be the 15-minute PD array. And normally you do this subconsciously without even noticing. So it's not a big deal if it's not precise or anything like that. But this is specifically applicable to very precise ranges, right? When you're talking about the day, well, the daily manipulation PD rate needs to be a 60-minute or above, right? It could be a 4-hour. It's going to be no less than a 1-hour PD rate. So that means your target for the day is either going to be a 1-hour or 15-minute draw on liquidity. You know that. You've probably heard me say that before. But say for the week, right? If you're digging into a weekly, daily time frame, we know for our weekly manipulation, it's going to be a 4-hour PD rate or above. That means our daily time frame, that's going to be the manipulation target. Our draw on liquidity and our expansion target should be on the 4-hour, preferably. Could be on the daily as well, but normally you can refine it down to a 4-hour. And it's constantly going from higher time frame to lower time frame. So, for a session, sometimes what you'll see is it actually trades up into, for the session, 15-minute POI here. And then what would it be down here? 5-minute, right? Now, normally you can just kind of narrow this down from 15-minute to a 15-minute. And there may be a refined range on the 5-minute you can target. But that is a very useful tool, especially when you pair that with IRL and ERL, ERL and IRL. Then you have very specific manipulation targets and very specific distribution targets. So you can say, at this point, if it manipulates into that PD array, gives you a sysd out of it, you can both have a draw on liquidity, a bias, and know the direction that price action is likely to draw into, and then have very specific refined targets. My targets yesterday were all hit. It did take the entire trading day, but each of those targets yesterday was the 1-hour fair value gap, which was up here, plus the order block. And then we had the London high, which was at 2 a.m., right up in here. And then we had the Asian high right up in here. If you go to a 15-minute chart, that's what I'm using. I'm using 15-minute draw on liquidity as we had a 1-hour manipulation. So each of those pools should be respected and drawn up into. In this case, it took the entire day, all the way till close, to get all the way up into that. But like I said, very useful. Still no fair value. Is there a 2-minute gap? Something? Nope. So it looks like it's just gonna wither away. Take out the sell side. And like I said, you just look at that 1-hour gap and discount. Where is it? This one down here. So you could either use this manipulation leg here, or you could use this one in here. Either one works. And this is why, for those who are new, and even if you have a refined model, having very specific elements of time, and something that I probably should have used today, per news is going to be beneficial. If you trade the ATM model, there's a model I recently released like, a year or two ago. You know that the rules for engagement on 10 a.m. news days is to wait for the news to release, trade the silver bullet after that. You can trade a macro entry or a 9:30 entry if you see it clearly manipulated at 9:30 and it's in line with your draw. A lot of times you just wait for the 10 a.m. news to come out, do its dirty work, and then you find a clear continuation draw using the silver bullet model, or even just a silver bullet, for value gap entry. That's going to be normally pretty easy to use. So you can see it traded through this 15-minute fair value gap. If we can get a full rebalance all the way up into that order block, that'd be perfect. Tempted to take that actually as a sell. Come all the way up. Touches it there. Probably wanted to stay within this entire order block range. Let's see. Right into that -2, -2.5 from the 841, sorry, 814 manipulation. Still staying within this order block. What would this be? Yeah, 2 to 1. There you go. So on the stop limit order, after it traces into the order block, keeps it. I'm getting nice displacement there. So I'll put the stop limit on the sisti. Another nice energetic candle. Another nice energetic candle. I could push it this -2 if I wanted to. Put a buy limit here. Little pyramid in one time. It offers it to me. And I'd like for actually this to be used as a breakaway gap. It may not offer me the pyramid. Let's see. If I can rebalance into this order block, then I will. Let's go back down to 1. Nice. So immediate rebalance up to the order block. Another change in state delivery here, as well as this one. These are both change in state deliveries. And clean this up a little bit. Order block will be minus. And then right now the target is down at this -2. You get your new low for me there at 1032. It's the right time, but price is we're still waiting for obviously price to be met, which would be the PM session low at a minimum. And then the 1 hour drawn liquidity, which is down at here, -4. 23,193, 23. We could put it down there, but I just want to be finished with this. Let's go back to the 1 minute, make sure this is fine. Yeah. Yeah, perfect actually. Nice. 5 minute looks healthy, 1 minute. Same thing. Preferably actually needs, like I said, this 15-second fair value gap here. I'd love to see this used as a breakaway gap. And it should stay within the 1 minute fair value gap, but below consequent encroachment. So if I mark this out, inside this gap, below consequent encroachment. I mean, if I wanted to, I could throw on one more here. Sell stop. Right, it'd be last entry. Support flushes. Now, if you remember on the 15-minute chart, I don't know if you saw that. I didn't point it out, but there was a lot of chop and consolidation within there, so makes for an added target. If they can give it to me, I'll take the last one. Now, if this candle comes down, aggressively takes out that swing low, then I do not want to see this fair value gap or this fair value gap filled. Okay, there you go. Doesn't close below, so avoid what I just said. I want a full closure below. Still come back up to that first gap. Trying to think. Yeah, at this point, nope. So it's getting that nice closure through, so it's not going to give me that last one. Stop to break even. Should fill me out here. Actually, let's not split it right at that high. Now, in this scenario, right, I'm probably going to get filled out. And since that's a discount PD, right, and what I mentioned before, it can come back up into premium. So in this case, I could get filled out on one contract, comes back up, stops me out, then goes back for my second take profit. Now, since my second draw on liquidity here is not really a draw, it's more of just a fib projection, I would love to just see it take out this sell side and then go within a couple of candles, just boom, 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 print, take out that second partial. I do not want to see it just bounce off here and then come back up into the range, you know? I'll just take this and then go. Continuously close through. Stop losses, obviously, still at break even. But I gotta watch here. So at this point, we put in our new low. Screenshot this if you want. Let's go back to 1 minute to screenshot it. Oh, it's actually, is this a new week opening gap? Oh, nice. Okay, perfect. So it's right on new week opening gap, CE. So new low, post 10:30 into PM session low target. Now, what would be the short-term dealing range that could reach back into premium? So preferably the child dealing range would be this one. And then the parent dealing range would be the one up here. And then your parent dealing range would be, actually this entire swing. So now you got 3 areas of premium you can be looking for. This is when it's really weak. This would be when it's medium weak, I guess. This would be, at that point, you really wouldn't want it to come all the way back up into here. On a 1 minute chart, you can see, at that point, it's taking out the sell side, coming back up for internal stops. A lot of people are going to get stopped out there. So it's not really the best case scenario. And then obviously, if it doesn't even want to give premium, then that would be perfect. But normally on each of these arrays, each of these 50% levels, you'll find arrays that can be swept or filled. Your 2 options are typically sleep on stops or a short-term fair value gap plus order block. So another scenario of the beautiful market precision of almost not getting filled there. I'm still looking for that 1 hour fair value gap if it wants to give it to me. 1 hour gap remains the last target. I'll put that in predictions. H1 gap remains last target. But as of right now, that'll be it for me. I'll take this stream execution and clean this up a little bit and post that. Nice little 2R plus scalp or whatever it was. And that's really all I'm looking for today. Is wait for 10 a.m., let it print towards the draw, find a fair value gap or order block that you like. Starts giving me signatures, take it in there, pyramid in, off the immediate rebalance on the SysD, and then taking it off on draw and on the -2. And this also lines up with the new big opening gap, as you can see, almost right to constant encroachment. Okay, remaining overarching target is still this 1 hour gap, and actually consequent encroachment of that 1 hour gap would be preferred. I want it to sink further into discount, and this is also building a potential bias going to the rest of the week. If we are trading back into premium here, let's go back and zoom out. Trading back into premium here, and clear some of this stuff out, and then it wants to now, obviously, if it wants to displace through 50% of that 1 hour gap, and obviously this 4 hour gap, we got a tiny IFUG forming in there. That would be potentially your high of the week. Tomorrow, Thursday, looking for low of the week, and obviously the monthly fair value gap that we have from the weekly outlook. So if you've not watched that video, I suggest to go back in and watch it. Execution entry in here is nothing super fancy, just using invalidation PD raise as my form of entry, which you've seen me use multiple times before. And yeah, overall it was like a 2-to-1 or something. Down to here. Yeah, almost a 3. 2.84. So that'd be bread and butter, and potentially, you know, if you're managing your risk properly, that would be all you would need for the week, which sounds outrageous, but I genuinely mean that. Is if you can take one good trade every week, that's all you would need. It may look like it's a small move, it may look like it's a scalp, but in all honesty, a 2.84 is perfectly reasonable as a weekly goal, a weekly target. You know, I would say at a minimum, you should be shooting for around 3R per week. I think that's not too hard. I think that's pretty easily for most. Especially if you're new, as you progress, 6R per week would be pretty good. But taking one trade and averaging a 2.5 on that setup is all you need. Literally all you need. If you think you need something more than that, it is probably not backed by anything more than an ego and just wanting more. I'm not saying you need anything more than that. I obviously take trades much higher than that, right? Last week, a 13R trade, which is one of my better trades for the past couple of months. I'm just saying, if you're new and you're struggling psychologically about what it takes to become a quote unquote profitable trader, or what you need to win in the market, right? And have your bills paid and et cetera, et cetera. All you need is a 2.5R per week and you're fine. All right. So this is a 2.85. That's all you would need for the week. If you are getting that consistently per week, you have exactly what it takes to be profitable. As you progress, you get better and better trades. As you progress, you take more frequent trades that are higher in risk to reward. That's just part of the game. But there's nothing that you need more than simple, repeatable setups that are time-based, that are price-based, and that's it. All right. JKX there with the absolute banger. I love it. I should have gotten up there. I say I should have, could have, would have, but I really do like that trade. I think or this one at least on the 15-second chart. First trade in 2 weeks. Love it. So you can see it's drawing down into that 1 hour gap. Into the -4, -4.5. Now, like I said, I would really favor if it digs further into this gap, because if you look at where 50% of the stealing range is right here. What the heck? Look where the order block is that supports the inefficiency, and look where 50% is. It's way below consequent encroachment. So I wouldn't really want it to just tag this and come back up. And especially if it comes back into this consolidation range, I probably won't be trading tomorrow if it sits within this. Like, I won't even be doing something like this. But if it really can get down below this, below the AM session low and displace like we're seeing in here, this is displacement, then that'd be a beautiful, easy, preferably short setup going into Wednesday and Thursday towards that previous weekly low and then the monthly fair value gap. All right, so we'll see this tagged and we'll wrap it up. One more point. There we go. So fair value gap tagged. Overall, not a terrible day. Could have been better. Somehow I got slipped positively, which I'll take it. Nice demo trade as a result. This is a New York Open reversal profile. So we had the high being formed here at 8:14 and low being formed post 10 a.m. Right, and probably into lunch, actually, you'd see it displace. So you got targets, you got time you can be looking for. I'm going to turn off the charts, go in and journal, screenshot, do what I need to do. I don't know if El Zorro's in here. I don't think he is. But I got some one-on-one calls and messages to reach out to. So if I didn't get to you yesterday, I apologize. I'll get to you probably today. Yeah, today for sure. And then this recording will be posted later up if you want to go back in and watch it from the beginning. All right. So take care today. Do the things that are necessary to succeed as always. And I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow. Peace.